online platforms like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of those. And once again, we have an excellent episode 6.
Yes, sir.
Of the Bitcoin Otter
Episode
Show.
6.
And so without further ado, I'm going to toss it right over to the Big Otter himself.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune all. We're coming out on Facebook Live also. Glad to be here. Great Thursday. A lot of stuff happening. A lot of stuff going on. The news segment is going to be full. And then if we have time, I'll jump into some stuff that I can help explain to people how it is that certain projects in the crypto world are better than others. It's just a fact, just like I would suppose stocks. There are some companies better than others, better organized, better ideas, better perhaps executives, if you will, people that run the program, the company. So it's very similar in cryptos, and that's what it is that I'd like to explain. A couple of my favorites. But, there's so much stuff going on worldwide, not to mention in cryptos, but worldwide, that affect the stock market, that affect the crypto world, the crypto environment, if you will. So one of the things that I like to highlight are the people that are out there. They may have been early adopters of Bitcoin. And if there are those people out there and they didn't sell their Bitcoin, well, you know that not only are they early adopters, but they're probably millionaires also. That is something to consider. So if someone has obviously made that kind of money on Bitcoin, you would think that, well, they might know a little bit about it, and they might have reasons for sticking with it other than just for the profit that they've received. So there's this guy out there, his name's Marty Bent, and to my knowledge, he was an early adopter, and he's written many things on Bitcoin, if you would like to check that out. So Mr. Marty Bent, he sent out a series of tweets actually. So in this series of tweets, he said thusly: Bitcoin provides the ability for individuals to receive, save, and send money in a self-sovereign fashion. Self-sovereign, that sounds pretty good, meaning I have the control. Excellent. Stomaching volatility is worth the level of control that no other money on the planet can provide. Okay, so he's saying stomaching volatility. Ladies and gents, we have a lot of that going on. We have to stomach this. Why? Because it's being foisted upon us by the powers that be. They have ways of manipulation that we can't see. They're in the background. The fact of the matter is, though, that they can't change the amount of people that are going to Bitcoin. They can't make it go to zero. All they can do is try to manipulate our opinion on it, manipulate our participation in some way or form. And we talked about that last week on the show, where they tried to scare us into thinking that Coinbase was going bankrupt, even though, the quarter before they made $1 billion. $1 billion in one quarter. We're not talking for the year, one quarter. And they throw out this thing where they get their dog whistles out, and they get the SEC, which is their minions, right? The SEC, the minions of the people that run this show, if you will. And what they do is they try to bring something out that is obvious to everyone in the crypto world, which is, if you don't have the keys to your cryptos, you don't have the passwords to your wallet, then you don't really have your cryptos. They're not really yours, because at any given time, the government regulators or the crypto exchanges themselves can say, you know what, we got to shut down for this, that, or the other reason. So it's one of those things where if you don't have the keys, it's not really your crypto. We all know that. But when they had their SEC minions give Coinbase the regulation that says that they will have to confiscate or at the very least, have the opportunity to confiscate our cryptos in bankruptcy proceedings. It was a big dust up, and people thought, well, hey, if they go bankrupt, or wait, if this is coming out, maybe they're going bankrupt. No, they're not going bankrupt. And it also happened with the app called Celsius. So these are the things that they do to create volatility and scare people away. But like this, Marty Bent is saying, stomaching volatility is worth the level of control that no other money on the planet can provide. We have control here, ladies and gentlemen. We have control of our own currency. It's ours. Is Bitcoin officially our idea? No. But we can all participate in the project. It's a project of decentralization. So his next tweet that came out in this series was, every other monetary system wants to control you. Bitcoin takes that control away and hands it to you. It's pretty simple. So what he's saying there is pretty obvious. The money wants to control us, but we can't let that happen. And there's the problem with the Federal Reserve note, or any fiat currency for that matter. It's not ours. In the example of the Federal Reserve note, the US dollar, it's a debt instrument. It's an instrument of debt, which puts people at a negative against the people that run the banks. So what we have with that is an inescapable thing, or so they want us to think. They want us to think that, well, you got to have dollars or you don't survive. So when we have control over our money, it doesn't control us. Wonderful, wonderful. So this guy's going somewhere with this. So in the final tweet, he says, I know I own X part of 21 million Bitcoin. He knows that. I can verify that my Bitcoin is real on my computer. I believe more individuals will recognize this utility as time goes on. That's what we're all about here at the Bitcoin Otter Show, Joe. We want people to realize that there's other avenues out there. There are other places that we can get our information. There are ways in which we can control our monetary future. And I have to say, and this is my opinion, again, I'm not a financial advisor by any means, but if we think that our financial future is secure in the US dollar, I don't know what other thing to say to that other than think again. Think again. It's not the case that we're going to be able to get away with whatever chicanery they're going to be throwing out at us in the coming months and maybe a year or 2 years, but it's going to unravel, and they don't give the schedule to you and me, Joe. I don't. Did the Monetary Fund, the International Monetary Fund, did they send you a schedule, Joe, as when they were going to dump it?
Absolutely not.
No, they didn't. No, so you're a bag holder with the rest of us. So they're not about to tell us when they're going to dump it on us. They're not about to tell us, hey guys, drop that bag of fecal matter you got in your hands because it's time. No, they're going to tell their cronies that, and they're going to know when to get out, but not regular people. We're going to be the last to know. In fact, you'll be driving around town and see lines around the corner of the banks, and people are going to be trying unsuccessfully to get money out of the bank. And it's happened before. I'm not making this up. It's not something that is impossible. In fact, in early 2020, if I would have told you that all the Whataburgers in Texas would be closed, you wouldn't believe me, would you?
Right.
But they were. So decentralization, again, is what Bitcoin was molded after, designed for, among other things, of course, a decentralized, deflationary kind of thing. And I was thinking about this, Joe. The fact that decentralization is a major goal of Bitcoin, and I don't want to draw too many parallels, but I want to draw this significant parallel. I want to tell you that as decentralization is a focal point of Bitcoin, many people don't realize that decentralization is also a biblical concept. Okay, let me unpack that. Okay, maybe some of you remember, maybe you don't, the story in Genesis where the 8 remaining people of the world after the flood, Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. So they get off of the ark, and God basically tells them, spread out, control this world, be the stewards of this earth, and multiply. Take care of all these animals, take care of this earth, and multiply. So at some point forward, we read that this guy, this Nimrod guy, he says, you know what, let's not spread out over the world. Let's come together and let's build this tower to the heavens. Okay, so whatever that instrument of tower to the heavens may or may not have been, God looks down and says, they're going to succeed in the plans that they have created. So it's against my plan, so I'm going to do something about it. And what he did was he divided them with language. So they were all speaking the same language at that time, gathered in one central location here on the earth. And the earth wasn't being propagated. It wasn't being taken care of properly the way God wanted it to be. So what happened? He struck them with different languages. So from 1, he went to 70. So we had 70 nations basically come out of that phenomena, that post-flood thing that was created by Nimrod because he didn't want to divide. He wanted a centralized government, a one-world government. Is this starting to sound familiar? Mm-hmm. Starting to sound familiar a little bit. A one-world government is what he wanted. Mm-hmm. So it's not a futuristic or a current concept. This has been planned by evil people throughout history, having total control over everyone and everything on this earth. The current ones are planning to have everything pretty much barcoded. So, and I won't elaborate on that on this show, but suffice it to say that decentralization is a good thing, everybody. Joe, do you have any questions for me over there as I go on to the next news?
Yes, when do you think the public will wake up to the opportunities that Bitcoin and blockchain technologies present?
That'll segue right into our next article here, the article that comes out of crypto news. So, unfortunately, we are creatures of habit, we humans, and what usually occurs is we don't adjust, we don't change, we don't anticipate until it's well upon us. It's upon us to the point where we don't have a choice because we are stuck. And let me give you for instance, if and when the banks decide to pull the rug out from under us, then what are we going to, where are we going to be standing? Where are we going to be situated if and when that happens? If we didn't look ahead, if we didn't adjust. So, unfortunately, the answer, Joe, to that question of when do I think people are going to mass adopt Bitcoin, cryptos, and the alternative currencies that are out there, unfortunately, I think most, maybe not most, but many, will do it too late. They'll go in too late, and the price will be too high. They'll be left out, so to speak, in certain ways, and it'll be incumbent upon us to help them out. It'll be incumbent upon the people that have the foresight to get out of that runaway, burning dumpster fire that is called the U.S. dollar, the Federal Reserve note, if you will. So let me get into this one. It'll elaborate on that a little bit. So this is out of the crypto news, and the headline is Bitcoin, Bukele, and a bevy of central bankers meet in El Salvador. Bukele, the president of El Salvador, right? So we've had this on this guy. This, in my opinion, a visionary. He set up his country, El Salvador, to use its natural resources. In this case, volcanic vapor, gas coming out of the volcanoes, to turn some turbines and power up Bitcoin miners. With that procedure, they will mine Bitcoin, and then out of that Bitcoin, they will build bridges. They'll fix roads, perhaps renew schools, do things that the nation could use with those resources. So it's I guess you could call it revolutionary, and he's not the only one to think this way, but I believe he's the first one to really implement it in such a big way. So he puts out this this invite because he doesn't want to be the only one. He wants to be able to trade in goods and services like any person would want to do if they're the leader of a nation. They should, right? Because we know there's at least one certain leader that doesn't want that. So this week, 44 central bankers from developing countries around the world are attending a conference in El Salvador to discuss the financial inclusion, financing for small and medium-sized businesses, and Bitcoin. I like that term, Joe. I like the term financial inclusion, right? So, especially nowadays, we have this term called inclusion, and it's almost a sin, so to speak, a societal faux pas, if you will, if you don't include everyone. So if we are going to go on this financial inclusion tip, well, then maybe we ought to think it's a good thing. Okay, let's investigate further. Central bank delegates from Ghana to Burundi, Jordan to the Maldives, and Pakistan to Costa Rica arrived in San Salvador for the conference upon President Nayib Bukele's invitation. So as you can see, like we were talking about the other shows, the people who are really in need of an alternative currency are the unbanked people. They don't have bank accounts, perhaps, and listening to these countries, they're not on the Forbes 500 list of richest countries, if such a thing existed. So they're probably having a lot of their people that are unbanked, and they probably have cell phones. Who needs a bank when you have Bitcoin, right? That's why they hate it so much. So delegates came and were organized by the Alliance for Financial Inclusion, a global policy leadership alliance, and in partnership with El Salvador's central bank. The conference runs for 3 days. In a tweet, the head of El Salvador's central bank, Douglas Rodriguez, shared, El Salvador is proud to receive representatives from 44 central banks and financial authorities to learn about the implementation of Bitcoin and policies to promote financial inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to happen whether the banks like it or not. Please be on board. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm just a guy who's sounding the call. You know what? I'm going to go back to the Bible again, okay? And I don't want to be a Bible thumper. Everyone, don't think that you're going to get a sermon on the Bitcoin Otter show, which wouldn't be a bad thing necessarily, because that's part of why I was created, was to tell people about Jesus. That being said, the other portion of what happens when you have many people coming together from different backgrounds, different ways of life, okay, for a reason, there has to be someone to call this stuff out. In biblical terms, there is such a thing as a watcher on the wall. Have you heard of this, Joe? You've read your Bible, you're well versed. You know what a watcher on the wall is all about, right?
Correct, yes, sir.
Right. So basically, in the old days, they would have these huge city walls, and they would surround the area to protect the denizens of that city, and they would have watchers on the wall day and night, and they would look out from these parapets in the distance to see what was coming to the people of that city. So they would then cry out to the people below and message them, this is what's coming. So I would like to fashion myself a watcher on the wall. Now, granted, they may have seen far off something that they thought was perhaps an event, a danger of anything that the people inside would want to know. And I'm sure it occurred from time to time that they yelled down about something that may or may not have been a danger. And then, you know what? Oh, no, it's just a bunch of camels, right? It's not an army, whatever. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is, I see this coming. And I won't feel right if I don't tell other people. It's just something about it. I want as many people as I know, or as many people that want to tune into this show want to know that there's something out there that we can avoid. It's not going to be a smooth ride, this depression, this whatever it is that we have going on right now. So what we want to do is we want to avoid all that pain and suffering coming our way. So what do? We look to alternatives. You got enough money? Buy land. You don't have that much? Buy gold. You got even less? Buy silver. You're a regular person? Buy Bitcoin. Or all three. Or two or three of the three or four. But do something to get out of the way of what's coming. And let's just say, for some crazy way, it doesn't come. It doesn't happen. This crash is just avoided somehow, like it has been for many years. Well then, perhaps we'll be all right anyway. Because Bitcoin's not going anywhere. Gold and silver are not going anywhere. But I'll tell you what is going somewhere. The manipulation that are on those markets. The manipulation's going to go at some point. There is going to be a mass event of adoption of Bitcoin. There's going to be an event where the wheels will fall off the manipulation cart, so to speak, when it comes to gold and silver, and they're going to reflect the true value. See, their price does not reflect their value right now. The true value will be seen, and it won't be a value that is indicative of the dollar. It'll be a value that is indicative of the thing itself, and the dollar will just be exploding in relation to it, meaning thousands upon thousands for an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver or something along those lines. So we got some people coming in here watching, and you're welcome. We have Eloy and we have James. Welcome. Glad you guys are watching. We have some others. Can't see them all. One of these days we're gonna have a big monitor there, Joe, and we'll be able to see everybody and say hi. So Eloy and James, hello. What's the number to the station again? If we want to have some callers, some preguntas, if you will, some questions.
Right, caller number in the studio 956-789-0702. That's 956-789-0702. Also feel free to type in on the live on the Facebook live chat, as well as on our YouTube channel. You can type in your questions or your comments there on the chat.
Thank you, Joe. We would love to have some participation. We have, in fact, I'm gonna turn the Facebook camera here and see if you could see this thing over here. See that? Look at that. That is an extra mic, and there's a chair right there. Okay, you got some knowledge in the field that you want to share. You see something coming that you want to alert people to. If you're amenable to it, come on over. It's not something that should be viewed as a shyness thing. Come on over. We'll interview you. You interview us. We'll throw out some possibilities. If you don't want to do that, then give it a call. Give us a call. Come on over. And again, I'll repeat, the Crypto Con Cafe cryptocurrency meetup is tonight. So at 7 o'clock, right here at the McAllen Creative Incubator, where we have this great radio station, we will also have a crypto meetup. Once you get into this building, and it's at 601 Main Street here in McAllen, Texas. So it's the old McAllen Library, 3-story building. It's got awesome creative office space here. So you've got painters, you've got sculptors, you've got musicians, you've got script writers, you've got video people, you've everything that you can imagine that is a creative thing. They're doing it here. And we would like to add cryptocurrency to that. So tonight we're going to have coffee, and we're going to have crypto talk, and we're going to have a lot of stuff going on that, well, hey, we're going to figure it out. And anybody who wants to stop by, whether you know a little bit or a lot about cryptos, come on by. So we've got a question here from my buddy Jaime. He says, Chris, can I use crypto to fuel the mothership? I need to get back to the year 2885. Jaime, I'm telling you, Bitcoin works very well with the flux capacitor. There's nothing wrong with Bitcoin when it comes to a fuel source. So I guess the answer is yes. But now, 2885, I gotta wonder, is that the year that they had the breakdown in the ship? Apparently there was this chip problem, and they had a supply chain. Oh no, that's 2022. Oh, sorry. Anyway, yeah, I think you're good on that. Thank you for the participation. See, that's how it works. You throw it out there, and we'll address it. I've got it all covered, guys. Just throw it at me. So time travel and Bitcoin, they go right there, hand in glove. So we got this one here, the news. The president of El Salvador, he's opening the door, right? He's doing great things there in El Salvador for the people of El Salvador anyway. Maybe not for the banks. So we're gonna go a little bit more with this one. One more thing on this. So one of the statements that this Nicholas Bertie, co-founder of Galoy Money, right? So he says, after spending a day with those central bankers, I can say, still a lot of education to do. Because here's the thing, everybody. The central bankers on certain levels don't even know what's going on. So if you think that they know all of the ins and outs of this alternative economy, this system of currency and valuation, then they don't, because they're not taught this. The same thing with history. We may have a history major, we may have a master's in history, but we're not going to be taught the history that they don't want us to know. Those are the things that we have to dig up ourselves. If we really want to learn about history, we have to take, in my opinion, okay, I wasn't there, when Napoleon was kicking around, but that aside, we have to take a revisionist or a revisionary posture on history, because the old adage is so very true that the victors write the history. But I'll tell you what, there's another side of the story. There's always other sides of the story, so we have to search those out. So this guy says there's still a lot of education to do, and he was talking to the central bankers, or at least the representatives of those banks. He says the vast majority have no idea of the potential of Bitcoin, but with El Salvador adopting Bitcoin, they now have a reason to dive into it. Again, reason for me to say that Bukele is a visionary. I truly believe that he is a visionary. He's on the tip of the spear, so to speak. He's the guy driving right now this international wave of Bitcoin adoption. I would like to think, I don't know the guy, right? I would like to think, though, that he's doing it from a benevolent standpoint. I would like to think that he's trying to bring his nation, which is beset by poverty, as many of those South and Central American nations are, and that's what they have planned for us, by the way, here in the States, in case you weren't paying attention in the other 5 episodes. But again, we're going to avoid all that, especially those of us that are tuning into the Bitcoin Otter show. So the thing we really have to remember is this: if we want to escape what's coming, let's educate ourselves. Let's not allow others to say, hey, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to stay in your 401k, and because it's coming up, right? That's what they always say. Your 401k is going to be fine. Meanwhile, it's kicking your bank account in the liver. You're really, really hurting, because every 2 weeks we're throwing into this pool of nonsense because they say, oh, it'll come back up. Well, you know what? There's going to be a time. Maybe it's not this time. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong. But there's going to be a time when it doesn't come back, Joe. Our 401ks are going to be in the proverbial crapper. And what are we going to do then? If we're all in the US dollar, we don't have any land, we don't have gold or silver, and we don't have any Bitcoin. What are we going to do when they say, you know what? Since we wrote it in and didn't tell anybody, there will be no more bailouts. And this, don't take my word for it, look this up. There won't be any more bailouts of the bank like we saw in 2008. We gave them, what, $8 billion or whatever? So there's not going to be any more bailouts. What there will be, however, are bail-ins. Well, what's a bail-in? A bail-in means that if you have $10,000 in the bank and the bank has trouble, they're going to bail in your money into their troubles. So it's all wrapped up. All wrapped up. Any other questions over there, Joe, before I go on to the next story?
Sure. With the fluctuating market and so forth, is Bitcoin tied to the stock market in any way?
It has an ETF, an electronic trade funding, or EFT, electronic funds trading index. So what they do is they go to the side of a commodity. Gold, silver has its own ETF, and now Bitcoin does. And basically what it does is it takes it from one asset class to the US dollar or the Federal Reserve. They're the same thing, everybody. When I say US dollar, it all comes into the Federal Reserve, so I use them interchangeably. But in this case, the stock market has an ETF that fluctuates as Bitcoin goes up and down, and some would say that is the instrument that they use to manipulate the Bitcoin price, not the value, because they'll never determine the value. We determine the value of Bitcoin. It's the banks that sometimes price things like they're doing with gold and silver. So in the commodities market, they have gold and silver doing the crazy sedentary thing where it just sits where it's at. Gold at 1800 something, silver it's down to 21 something, which is good for us. And you say, well, why is price manipulation good? In this case, it is, because it gives us the opportunity to jump in. It gives us the opportunity to participate, to get our families out of the way of this train wreck that's coming, to get our family in a position to exist financially afterwards. And we don't have to be part of their so-called Great Reset, where their tagline is, "You will own nothing and be happy." If you want a ticket to serfdom, then stay all in your 401k. If you want a ticket to serfdom, don't branch out into any other asset besides the US dollar. You will be a serf. They will ensure that. You can be a serf, and you can be as lazy as you want. You can do nothing. You can sit around, and they'll give you a stipend to do it. You can eat Cheetos all day long. You like Cheetos, Joe? Cheetos?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not, they don't sponsor me or anything. But if you want to be a lazy serf, the opportunity is coming up. I don't have my crystal ball with us here on the show, but it's going to come up. Be it a year, be it 2 years, whatever. I can't call it. I won't call it. But at some point, we're gonna, if the World Economic Forum, the International Monetary Fund, all these unelected officials, if they get their way, then we're going to have the ability to be a serf in the modern times. We can just be lazy, kind of like in that movie WALL-E, when they were all on a spaceship and orbiting the Earth, waiting for it to be inhabitable again. They were all, huge people because they had the tram to take them everywhere. They had, big gulps the size of a trash can, things like that, So that was the life they led, and we're finding out that if you too want to lead that life, well, then stay in the dollar. By all means, stay in the dollar if you want to be a serf. And if you want to see your 401k crash and burn, well, then keep your money in it. Just keep it in there, and then keep hoping for that dead cat bounce if it ever arises. So let me move on here, and I'm just going to go. I got one more news article here, and then I want to go into a couple of projects. So CoinMarketCap has this news article: Robinhood to launch non-custodial crypto wallet. Okay, let me give you a quick definition on non-custodial. Non-custodial means that you are the custodian, and the instrument, in this case Robinhood, does not have custody of your cryptos. So that's a non-custodial crypto wallet. So you will have the opportunity to set your own 12 or 24 word passcode so that you own those cryptos, and then you are able to allow your crypto wallet to interface with Robinhood to integrate into what is called Web 3. We've gone over this before, but Web 1 was the dial-up. Remember that beep, 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 beep? Yeah, and that was a very exact, precise part of what it sounded like. So we had Web 1, and then we went to fiber optics, what we have now, right? So we got the internet, right? Web 2, if you will. Now, Web 3, which is already up and running, is the blockchain. It's blockchain technology. Now, you need an interface to go from the Web 2 to the Web 3. For most crypto people, we use MetaMask, okay? So I'm not real familiar with it yet because the features that it offers are things that I'm not really into yet, as far as, trading, the metaverse, all that kind of stuff. So that's where MetaMask comes in. So what Robinhood apparently is going to do is create their interface. I don't know if they're going to compete with MetaMask or not, but here's what the article says. Robinhood is about to launch itself deeper into the Web3 space, briefly after its announcement that Sam Bankman-Fried acquired 7.6% of the company's stock. CEO Vlad Tenev announced a Web3 crypto wallet at the Permissionless Conference in Palm Beach, Florida. Well, I didn't know that they were having a permissionless conference, Joe, but apparently they did, and it was in Palm Beach. Let me explain what permissionless means. Permissionless is what many proponents of blockchain technology really highlight, and for good reason. Here's what permissionless means. Let's say you have a fund, meaning me, Joe, a couple other of you listeners and viewers are in a fund, and we're going to decide that, hey, we're going to pool our money together, and we're going to, invest in a ranch. We're going to invest in an 8-plex, a 10-plex. We're gonna invest our money, and we're gonna do it via this fund. Okay. In the past, you would have a fund manager. You might even have someone that would take care of the paperwork, a secretary, if you will, a bookkeeper, and there were various positions that would oversee this fund. Now, you would have to have trust in those individuals to do those duties, because you don't want corrupt people, overseeing your fund. Well, let me give a news flash. People are not always trustworthy. So, a permissionless, okay? Permissionless is you're not giving anyone permission to have your trust. So, they create what's called a smart contract that everyone in the fund can see. And every piece of that smart contract is visible to every member who is in the fund. So you don't have to trust anybody. No one needs permission to have trust over that fund, because everyone has eyes on. Okay. So this is a new wallet to be a full non-custodial Web3 wallet similar to the likes of MetaMask. As such, user will be able to lend, stake, yield farm, and trade fungible and non-fungible tokens. These are NFTs, if you all, and I'm sure you've heard of them, but you're wondering what's an NFT. A non-fungible token is a unique digital construct, a unique piece of art, a song, a movie, a little digital photo, if you will. But this Robinhood thing is going to take it further into the mainstream, because Robinhood is pretty mainstream. Many people have Robinhood on their phones and doing things with Robinhood in the stock market and so forth, options, futures, all that good stuff. So that'll further move the adoption rate to the place we want to see it. Any more questions, Joe, before I go into what it is I want to talk about here in the second half? It's one of my favorite projects.
Sure. I don't mean to change the conversation or the topic too quickly, but I've always wondered what happens to Bitcoin during a power outage or during an internet outage.
Yeah, good question. Because many of us believe that that's upcoming once some of these political things start coming to the forefront. The truth starts coming out. We've heard about Elon Musk and Twitter, and they're all mad. They're all angry because, well, they're all about blocking truth. They're not there, said the executive of Twitter. We're not here for free speech, and that's for sure. Thankfully he admitted that, but only because Project Veritas is very good at what they do. Got him to admit that. So, yeah, truth is going to be coming out, and we're going to see some sort of blockage. They're going to have to block that truth, or the normies, so to speak, the regular people who don't pay attention to behind-the-scenes news, or they watch a lot of TV. They're not going to understand why all this truth is coming out and why they didn't know about it. So it's going to be blocked, pretty much. How are they going to do that? I don't know, Joe. They may resort to many different methods. Perhaps it's just going to be a blockade of social media platforms. Maybe it will go electrical. Maybe the grid here or there go down, brownouts. They did that last summer, I think it was. So many different things can happen. So what happens to your Bitcoin then? So the power's out. What happens to your Bitcoin? Well, thankfully, since Bitcoin is wonderfully decentralized, that means that the entire blockchain of Bitcoin is located all around the world. All around the world. So if we have a Texas brownout, a power outage, our Bitcoin is still stored on the blockchain. And as soon as it comes back up, we will be able to access it, right? Because it is decentralized. If it was all in Texas and it all went down, well, then we'd be out. We'd be really, we'd be in a pickle. But since it's everywhere around the world, every nation has a miner, M-I-N-E-R, a miner of Bitcoin, which, depending on their node, so to speak, how they perform their mining duties, they have a complete backed up from the very first creation of the very first blockchain, or Bitcoin on the blockchain. The very first transaction is all stored right there in their mining facility, or could be just in a bunch of servers in somebody's basement. Doesn't matter. It's backed up. So once it all comes back online here in Texas, or even if the whole United States gets blacked out, we have no power, we have no computer ability, it's still there. No panic. It's still going to be there because it'll be in Canada, it'll be in Mexico, it'll be in South America, it'll be in Asia, it'll be everywhere, right? So we'll be able to tap back into it once the power grid comes back up. So yeah, we might be able to think of a lot of different scenarios where power is going to be cut from us in one way or another, but thankfully, Satoshi Nakamoto, who created this wonderful thing called Bitcoin, he thought of all those things. He thought of those things and many others. And we're seeing things move forward in a way that, Lord willing, we'll see adoption come in a massive movement. So what I would like to talk about is what's called an altcoin. Anything other than Bitcoin could be considered an altcoin. But this one to me is near and dear because it's the one that got me into cryptos. And the name of this project is called Theta. Okay? So they have many different things going on with the Theta network. They have a Theta TV where it's purely a blockchain broadcast, sort of like YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us on Facebook, the Theta Live network, Theta network, comes on very similarly and is working on the blockchain. So they have that. They have NFTs. They have many different things. But let me tell you the best part of their project and what brings them head and shoulders above the vast majority, in my opinion, of cryptos and crypto projects. What they really do and what they really conceptualized was the way of melding, molding, and forming the Web3 construct in the process of going from Web 2 to Web 3. And here's how they're going to do it. They're going to have what are called nodes, okay? And they're going to be on our computers, okay? I was running one for a while, and it works. So here's what they do. They take a little bit of your bandwidth that we pay for. Around here, it's Spectrum, right? So you got other companies, but here it's primarily Spectrum is called the Content Delivery Network, CDN. So all of us, well, almost all of us here have Spectrum. So the CDN is a focal point for the receiving of the network. This is where you go to get your YouTube, to get your Netflix, to get your Amazon Prime, all these Hulu, all these different video platforms you're going to get from a content delivery network. In this case, we're using Spectrum as an example. So what does Theta do? Okay, Theta has these nodes that they put on, or you allow to have put on your computer, and it will take a small amount of your uploading bandwidth. So we all have that for, our security systems or whatever, but we rarely use it to its full potential. So it takes something that we're really not using and it shares in a network that bandwidth. So how will that help people? Let's say, especially in urban locations, let's say you have an apartment building with perhaps 100, we'll just use the number 100 for an easy round number, 100 individuals, and they're all going to watch the new Game of Thrones that comes out, or whatever the big show is nowadays. I don't know, I don't watch TV. So let's just say that comes out, and they all want to watch it. They may have 4K TVs, Joe, but none of them are going to receive the reception of 4K, the resolution of 4K. That signal's not going to come through to them at 4K because there's a bottleneck at the CDN, the Content Delivery Network, right? They're all going to go to the same source to get that bandwidth, that part of that program. Now, where do the edge nodes, they're called edge nodes, by the way, the Theta edge node can be placed on your computer. And these edge nodes will be broadcasting also the bandwidth of whatever they're looking for. So if there's not sufficient bandwidth at the CDN, the Content Delivery Network, then you will find extra bandwidth via these edge nodes. So let's say you have 20, 1/5 maybe, 20 of the 100 of these people in this apartment building sharing their bandwidth with the rest. You might get 4K. You might get it. Okay, and this is a very simplistic example because what we have coming down the pike, ladies and gentlemen, is just amazing. It's not going to be just 4K. In fact, we could go to, if we had the money, we could go to a Best Buy right now and buy an 8K television. However, what do you think the chances are that you're going to get 8K resolution on your screen? You will not. You will not. We've got fiber optics and all that. Basically, it's 20th century technology. So, Theta, and by the way, they have, I believe they're up to 4, perhaps 5 patents on this technology that they've invented. Their name is actually Theta Labs. So their token is Theta. I think it was number 48 on the coin market cap. There's just their future is in my opinion, it's very alive. It's very much alive because the technology, especially in the metaverse, with this Web3 technology and all this kind of stuff, we're going to need bandwidth. And with the current infrastructure to boost it up to the point where we could get that added bandwidth that is going to be needed, demanded, it's not going to be done. There's not enough money in the world to do that. So this is a great concept, a great idea, and I bought into it, right? So I invested in Theta back in January of 2021, and that's what basically got me worked up about cryptocurrencies, because it wasn't something that is on the stock market. It wasn't something that is influenced by the Fortune 500. However, it does have Fortune 500 companies backing it. Let me go through a list of them. You've got Sony. Sony is backing. Sony is a partner with the whole Theta Labs project. You also have Samsung. So we have there's 2 big ones. Google, okay, which may be a con for many people. And we have Google, we have Sony, we have many others. But let's suffice it to say that they have some big contributors to the project. They have some big hitters, heavy hitters. So, well, how does that go, Otter? How can you get a heavy hitter in on this project and then have it come out more successful, and how? Let me tell you how. So Sony, when it ramps up, when the Theta project ramps up, what if Sony were to put a Theta Edge node on all of their PlayStations? Or maybe not even new ones. What if they just added it as a download? Also, Samsung, all of their Galaxy phones, there's tons of them out there. Even their lesser known phones, right? What if they decide, you know what? Now is the time. The public demand is sufficient for this market, for this idea, for this concept. What we're going to do is we're going to offer it on our Galaxy phones as a download or an update of some sort. Who knows how they will implement it? But it doesn't take a genius. It doesn't take a big mind because, well, I'm thinking of it. It doesn't take great intellect to understand that once this project hits, it will be in the hands of so many people that it will burgeon to the point where those bottlenecks are going to go away. Bandwidth will abound for everyone. There's going to be a kid in Mumbai, Joe, watching Netflix on his cell phone when he never had that chance before. Right? It's going to open up a new world, and some people might say, wow, Otter, that doesn't mean that he's going to be better off. I understand. The content is not almost ever the best on Netflix. I understand this. What I'm getting at is, once this whole decentralization thing goes ballistic, we're going to have the opportunity. People are going to have the opportunity to do things that they never had the opportunity to do before. The unbanked, the people without internet. This is going to be a thing of the past. So what do we want to do? We want to look at these things. We want to examine them. I'm not telling any of you to invest in the Theta token. I'm not telling you anything of that nature. I'm just, for full disclosure, telling you that I have. I'm not advising you to do it. I'm not telling you anything of the sort. However, if you do your own research and you use your thought process, unlike what they want us to do in school, which is just take what they want us to absorb, imbibe it, and then regurgitate on a test. Unlike that, use your own logical, formative thought process and figure out what of these ideas might work and which ones may not. And that's part of what we're going to be doing tonight at the Crypto Con Cafe cryptocurrency meetup here at the McAllen Creative Incubator. We're winding down in the show here, Joe. And is there anything that you would like to add, or anything that you would like to recap?
No, this is a perfect time to recap for those folks that are just joining us. I just want to mention that if you want more information from the Bitcoin Otter show, specific information, I encourage you to reach out to Chris Ott. And what is that number, Chris, that they can reach out to you?
Sure, it's 737-256-9339. 737-256-9339. Give me a call. We'll set up an appointment. If I specialize in helping beginners purchase Bitcoin, if that's what you want to do. I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to boss you around. I just want to say, you know what? There's an opportunity out there for you. It's called Bitcoin. If you want to get into it and you want to learn how to do it, it's simple. I'll show you. You don't have to spend hours the way I did on YouTube and investigating and figuring out how to make it the safest, how to make it the most secure, how to make it easier. I do all that for you. We'll set up an appointment. Give me a chance if that's what you want to do. But again, if you don't want to get into it, that's fine. I'm not here to push anything on anyone.
That's right. And there's still time for you to, grab something to eat and come out to Bitcoin Con Cafe tonight. Remember, it happens every third Thursday of the month, and tonight is the night. So if you're anywhere in the area, head out to
Absolutely.
The McAllen Creative Incubator. We're located inside the McAllen Creative Incubator in the Arts District of McAllen. The address here is 601 North Main Street in McAllen. That's 601 North Main Street in McAllen. You might want to park in the back, use the rear or the alley entrance to the building. There's parking in the back as well. Those doors will be open. Come right in, and we will be up in the second floor.
Sounds good.
Yeah, for whatever reason, if there's a lot of commotion in the second floor, we'll move it up to the third floor.
We've got options. We've got options.
Just come on out here. I can almost smell the coffee already being brewed.
Yes.
So hit us up 7 p.m.
7 p.m., Joe.
7
7 p.m. Not long from now.
If you get lost, just call our studio 956-789-0702. That's 956-789-0702. Once again, the number to the Bitcoin Otter is 737-256-9339. That's 737-256-9339.
Excellent. And I would like to leave you with one other, and I won't go into as much detail with this project as I did with Theta. One other project that I really like, simply because its focus is on bringing crypto to the masses, is called the Divi product. Okay, the Divi project. So Divi, the CEO, if you will, of the Divi project, has been spending a lot of time in Dubai. Okay, Dubai is going full bore crypto, full bore blockchain technology. They want to be at the forefront. So we have a state here in our union. Basically, it's going to be, well, they want it to be anyway. It's Florida. They want to be the focus point. Miami specifically as the city that adopts crypto fastest and most has the arms most open for crypto. But the Divi project, if you want to check it out, DIVI, another resource for you all that I've mentioned before, but it's worth mentioning again. There is a website out there called coinmarketcap.com. Coinmarketcap.com. And it gives you all of the cryptos that are out there, their current price. And you can read up on them. You click on the name of the crypto and the token, it'll put you in there. Also CoinGecko.com. So there's different things you could do. I'm not really promoting one over the other, but for me the setup of CoinMarketCap seems to me to be more user friendly, but that's me. So check it out and you can see what are called the white papers on all these tokens. You can read them. You can go to their website, all through coinmarketcap.com, and then you can see Divi, D-I-V-I, and you can read up on it. And if you come out tonight, we could talk about Divi among many other projects that are not on my radar, but that's what we're going to be here for, to swap stories, swap opinions, all kinds of different crypto news and NFTs, everything that you may want to learn about.
That's right. Well, thank you. Thank you for another exciting episode of the Bitcoin Otter Show. Very informative. And so thank you for sharing this information with our audience.
Thanks again. This is a blast. This is something I love to do. Again, if you have anything you want to discuss, again, I gave out the number. Also, bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. Send me an email, and we can bring up a subject you want to learn about here on the show, or a topic perhaps. Anything you think would make it more interesting for our viewers and our listeners.
Thank you. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to this show. Until next time, keep it tuned right here to 97.7 FM The City, and make sure to go and hit up the Bitcoin Otter on Facebook. See you then.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Facebook.